Hello everyone. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you for that intro. Here's Gary. Um, yeah, hope you're doing very well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Lovely to see a lot of very familiar names, and lovely to see quite a few new ones as well. Fantastic to have you all along. I'm just going to be here making a kit, which is this King Tiger Porsche turret, a tune kit, an egg kit essentially. Hey George, and yeah, along the way, just throw any questions you like at me. I'll try and answer them if I can, and I normally can. I think I won't evade them if I can't. If I can't answer them, I'll tell you, hey guys, I don't know. What do I know? But if I know the answer, I will tell you the answer. If there's anything you want to ask at all, about anything whatsoever, about the channel, about what I'm up to, within reason, just give me a shout and I'll be happy to answer. Hey Paul, how you doing, fella? Right. So, Sean, hello. I see you're here. Chris, good to see you. Mark, I've said hello to Mark already. Jake, good to see you. Robert Johnson, how are you, my friend? All the way from Ontario in Canada. And I saw earlier Jim is on from the Windy City, Chicago, as well, which is really cool of you to all. You know, it's just every one of you. So it's so cool you're going to tune in. That's really nice. Oh, hi, everyone. Hi. Um, Thanks. I'm getting my bond bug. Yeah, thank you. Do you know what? It was remarkably easy to get the bond bug sorted. You know, the part was I can't remember if it's 32 or 38. Anyway, it's the back of the car, the rear of the car, and it's got like a parcel shelf and things like that. The top of that part wasn't molded correctly. Now, uh, there's a lot of people who've had exactly the same problem with that part. And hey Rob, how you doing? And um, I asked them when we went to do the Seeking thing last week. I asked Chris, the designer. I said, you know, what's the story with this? And he said, well, do you know, it looks. Hi Nick, how you doing? Um, it looks like there's a fault with the mold, but only in that maybe some plastic has pre-cooled too much. And hang on. Do you know with the fleet air arm colour in the wing fold, interior green? Robert, depends on the aircraft. Some were interior green, some were aluminium, you know, essentially bare metal. Some later ones were white. But the amount of grease and grime and muck inside them, frankly, half the time you couldn't tell which was which. In the early days, it was interior green, things like the walrus and stuff like that. But I can answer more on that a later date. Hi Andrew, how you doing? Sorry, yeah. So the part there's an issue with the mold itself in that something probably got blocked rather than it being a faulty mold per se. So only so many of the kits were actually affected. Someone did actually point out on Facebook earlier it could have been an issue that they've then taken the mold off and maybe re-engineered it, re-machined it, because a lot of companies can do that. Plastech, who make the Spitfire, can do a massive amount of corrections and repairs and stuff like that. They've got one of these EDM electrode things, the things that the Airfix tool makers in China use to make the tools. They've got one, so they can actually get really fine corrections. I suspect a lot of people have had this error on the bond bug, and I suspect Airfix have shipped in a whole load of new parts, because it's unusual but very pleasing that I can email them on Monday to say this part is wrong, and on Wednesday it arrives on my front door through the post. I mean, that's very good service. But I think it's on the back of they have a major issue, but they have done some firefighting and they've done it right. So well done, Airfix, for correcting it. I would say not such a great thing that it happened in the first place and wasn't caught by quality control. That's my issue. You know, things go wrong with molds. That's the way of the world. Things go wrong. That's the second law of thermodynamics right there. Things break. But quality control should be there to pick up on it and say, hang on, we've got a problem with this mold. Stop the mold. Stop them going out. Check the ones from this batch and whack them out and get them all fixed and then do it. That's what should have happened. But as I say, I think they've done their best to repair it. In 2 days turnaround for a spare part was great. Hi Joe, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Hello Dane. Someone was asking about the Mitchell build. I don't know how we do this, but you know, if you've bothered to check in with me, I'll do it. I'll show you where we are. This is it at the moment. Actually, I'll put it under the other camera and you can see it. There we go. That's the Mitchell. It's being done in, as you can see, D-Day colours of 160 Squadron, 160 Squadron, which is 160 is one of the two schemes in the kit. But the other squadron, the Polish squadron, by the time of D-Day had gone on to Mosquitoes. 160 had the Mark II Mitchell. So this will probably be finished tomorrow. I don't know if you can see the. I'm really happy with the pre-shading on here. Really happy with that. Do a bit more work on some weathering and putting the decals on. This is painted with Tamiya paint. First time I've used it like big scale on a kit, and I really liked it. I mean, really liked it. It's the XF, the flat ones, and man, I'm really happy with the paint. So there we are. That's where we're going with it. So yeah, hopefully that'll be finished tomorrow, which means maybe, very maybe, the build video might be out tomorrow, or certainly the day after. So that's how that's doing. Because in the meantime, I've got other. I'm going to show you. Should I show you this? Of course I should. I could. You've bothered to check in. I'll show you some more stuff. Okay. This is this week's kit of the week. That was last week's kit of the week. This is this week's kit. I have to say, as lovely as it was going out for 2 days, essentially, with Airfix. You know, it took a day to go down, went round the Fleet Aero Museum and all that, stayed overnight, so that I was up and ready for the morning. 2 days out of the schedule really packs a punch, I've got to tell you. So this is the 135th AH1G from ICM. Really nice kit. I added, I don't know if you can see, added these pipes, and this is a filter thing that's on the side there, and it didn't have any pipes, so I've added a couple of pipes, bits of soldering, and I've also added, which doesn't come with the kit oddly, there's a, let's see if we can get some light on this somehow. There should be, I'm going to try the other camera maybe. Yeah, there's a medical pack in there, which doesn't come with the kit, which is kind of surprising because everything else about the kit is really good. But yeah, so those are the things I've added. This is very nearly ready for paint actually, so I've done the canopy already, and I'll paint the whole thing, do the weapons, the pod at the front, the gun pod thing here. Before that goes on, you do the decals. It's got a big sort of shark's mouth decal on it as well, the rotor and all this. So this will be 3 or 4 days and this will be done, maybe 2 days. We'll see how we go, because then of course I've got the next week is another kit of the week. Almost told you, I shouldn't tell you these things. Joe, thank you very much. It's a lovely kit. The B25, it's a lovely kit to make. The only problems I've had with it was that the nose weight is an issue. Getting the nose weight right is an issue. I've put a lot of lead shot in the front end, probably a bit too much, but too much is better than too little, right? So that's the only thing. And there's a bit of fit issue on the top, but generally it's a really nice kit. Really nice kit. Oh, excuse me. The upcoming Fokker DR1 and Bristol Fighter Dogfight Double kit is suitable for the group build. Pretty sure it is, because if it's a vintage classic, which it is, it's going to be pre Z73. I need a drink, sorry. This month's drink is Hobgoblin Ruby. So cheers. Oh, that's so much better. Right. Yeah, if you go on to scalemates.com, you can and look up Airfix Fokker DR1 1/72 or 1,72, because they don't use a slash. It's 1,72. It will show you when the mold for the 1/72 was done. The Bristol Fighter will be the same age pretty much. So yeah. Oh yes. Where do I get the lead shot from? Okay, what it is, I got it from Amazon. What I do a search for is diving weights. If you go scuba diving, you can make up your own weight belts, and to do that, you use lead shot and you sew them into canisters that you then carry, or you can get special pouches, so you can custom make your own weight, buoyancy weights. And yeah, they just come in a plastic bag of 1 kilo or something like that. And I've been using mine for quite a long time now, and they're cool. You can super glue them in. You can use PVA, something like that. You really want to do something to keep them in a lump, because otherwise they're going to be rattling around in your plane or whatever. That's not really all that good. Hot Central Florida. It's dull Central England, well, Southern England today. Really pretty grim over here at the moment. There we go. Fishing shops. Yeah, fishing shops will do weights. A lot of them won't do lead anymore because of the environmental issues of weights coming off and being dumped into the environment. They're not terribly hot on them, so they're not as dense as they used to be. Whereas diving weights, because you're putting them into a solid bag, pouch kind of thing, I think they're a bit more lenient. You can still get lead, which is good if you need to squish them down, of course. Quite often, if you want to pack them into a small area, it's good to squish them down with a pair of pliers or a hammer or something, until they're quite a little bit flatter and they pack together better than the spheres do. But yeah, it works very well. But anyway, I haven't yet gone into that whole sort of, what's it called, liquid gravity thing. Maybe I'll look into that one day, but yeah. Yeah, the vintage classics, Concorde. Oh, yeah. I mean, the current Concorde is bad enough. The vintage classics must have been absolute nightmare. Jim, have I tested my new gallery airbrush? I have tested 3 so far, and I have got the, I think it's the Ace, the 98D. That arrived very recently, so when I start painting my Cobra, which will be this weekend, I will be using that airbrush to do the pre-shading. There's a lot of pre-shading on a lot of things like that. Where you've got like big expanses on say 1/35, what you can do, you pre-shade the panel lines black, but the panels themselves you can do like a bit of like marbling with white, and it gives that sort of slightly uneven weathering look that you get on panels of aircraft that have been used really heavily. So that's what I'm going to have a go at doing this time. And I'll be using the Ace brush for that. Interestingly, I've also just been, they're on their way at the moment, are some brushes from Neo Eco, the sort of $30–40 range, and they're going to start selling through Amazon UK soon as well. Obviously they're easy to get in America, but currently they ship from the USA, and they are about to go into the UK as well, which is really cool. But I'm getting some of their brushes to come over and test as well. Yeah, Richard, yeah, yeah, tire balancing weights. I do have those as well. if I've got like a big area, sorry about it, I'm just looking in my spares in my cupboard. It's very rude, I know. Yeah, I've got these things here. These are like 5 gram. I think they use on bicycle. They use them on bicycles, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, they've got like a thin sort of sticky. I'll just see what I'm doing. A thin sticky pad-like thing on the back. You tear it off. You can cut the backing individually, and then they come off, and they're like 5 gram. And then you can, because it's got sticky pad, you can stick them into your kit, which is really useful. For bigger kits, that's absolutely fantastic. There wasn't enough room for them on the Mitchell, and it needed allegedly 25 grams at the front to balance it, but there we go. Pete, yes, it kind of puzzled me. The whole seeking thing did puzzle me. Excuse me, I've got very sort of a hay fevery nose today. It did kind of amaze me that, yes, they announced it again at the beginning of the year, and then you can't get it till September, possibly, depending on when the ship arrives from the container ship arrives. But then they had the seeking. They didn't mention anything about it. You know, it's a big job, that seeking. The guy who did it, the guy who did it Chris also designed the 124th Spitfire, and as a bit of a release from doing the seeking as well, he also designed the new Aston Martin DB5 starter. So he's been a busy boy, really busy boy. Tony, it's not raining. You can hear a hiss in the background. That's the cooling fan of the laptop, because it's getting hot at the moment. Hopefully it will cool down a bit, but it's running quite hard to so that's what the hiss is. I'm afraid I don't have a filter to get rid of it, but sorry for that. Yeah, the 172nd Vampire is such a small space. I remember in the MiG 17, I think it is, they say they give an area and so you put so many grams in this area, and I did the maths. I measured it and found out the volume and found out how to, in order to fill that with the required amount of weight, you'd have to have something denser than anything known. I mean, anything known, denser than osmium, which is one of the 2 densest materials in the world. It's more dense than depleted uranium, for goodness sake. So if there's not enough room for 10 grams, why say put 10 grams of weight in there when I'm not going to be able to do it? Which is why they include an oil drum in the kit, so you can rest the tail on the oil drum. There we go. Kev, I know exactly how you feel, my friend. Here's my one, pew pew. I've been using this an awful lot. I mean, an awful lot. I absolutely love this pistol action. Absolutely love it. It's so comfortable when you're doing a lot of varnishing, or like with the Mitchell, because you're laying down a lot of thin coats of paint. Your back, something like that. It's just an absolute dream. And of course, if you just let go of the pressure, so it's just coming out with air, it dries the paint really quickly, so you can put another coat on really quickly. It's cool. Oh, glad you like the Neo Eco. I'm looking forward to trying it. I think these ones are listed at $39 or something. The ones they're sending over, but like $39, but they come with all sorts of stuff. One of them comes with like a cleaning kit, like with the jar and you know, all the cleaning bits and pieces. That's $39. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay. Right, best place to buy lead shots. As I say, I buy them online at Amazon. If you look for diving weights, if you're making your own diving weights, you use lead shot. Yeah, bad weather tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, I'm supposed to be here. think Saturday we're going to get a big storm on Saturday. I think. There you go. Roofing lead. Yeah. I haven't tried anything like that. No. Yeah, Jim, I've found that I was surprised that they at Gallery they only do a 35 or a 38 tip, 0.35 or 0.38 millimeters tip, or a 0.5. They don't do a 0.2 like a lot of companies do, and I haven't really yet had a problem with it with detail. Just turn the pressure down just a little bit. And if you really need to, then take the needle guard off, and you get really fine lines. I've been quite happy with it. Extractor fan is always a good idea, right? I've got to say I don't use one because I haven't got one. I try to vent it, but I may be using some lacquer paints in the future, and I'm definitely going to need some air extraction for that. So I'm going to try and think of maybe like a cooker hood, or rig up some sort of cooker hood with a filter on it and a box, and then just pump it out to the outside. I don't know, maybe I'll do what I can. Do the Gallery airbrushes have PCFC seals? Yes, I believe they do, but I will find out for you, and I'll mention it in the review of the Ace, which will be within the next week. I will definitely check with them about that. Okay, anyway, I'm going to start making a kit soon. How about you guys? I'm going to make this lovely little main thing. Apparently it goes together without any glue and anything. You don't have to paint it or whatever, but I will probably glue some bits, and I will definitely end up painting it because I think it's funny. Little key wheel assembly. There's an absolute danger I might actually get something done today, and that is really not on. I'm 22 minutes and I'm actually looking at bits of plastic. Yeah. Buy a bench vent extractor. Yeah. Okay. Well, fine. I'll see how much they are. I may have to rig something for the moment and then get a better thing later on, but we'll see. Do excuse me a second, won't you? Okay, excuse me. Also, when Gallery come to the UK Amazon site, hopefully they'll be able then to ship other products, such as their compressors, but also they have a paint booth and it's got a waterfall at the back. I really want to have a go at that, but they need to be shipped over here because it's really expensive to ship from America. Toon tanks are brilliant. Nick, they are, my friend. By the way, get sidetracked again. Toon ship. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. HMS Hood. Egg style. How cool is that? I can't wait to do that. That's going to be fun. Yeah, a lot of these things I'm going to just do in the background because, not of these shows, obviously, in the background of the time, because it just it just relaxes you when you're having a really hard time with something. Just sort of put it to one side and then build something fun. If you're spending as much time as I have building something like this, this is a truck chassis. It's a lot of work. Honest. Do you know what? The modelling gods were with me because I dropped this, or I knocked it off the shelf a little while ago, okay, and it broke this axle piece here, just here, and it fell on the floor. I thought, that's it. Oh, what am I going to do? I found it. I found that tiny little piece there. I found on the floor, and I've glued it back on, and now it's there, ready for the wheels. the gods were smiling at me today. Anyway, that's yeah, actually nice kit. This has taken a long time to get done, but you'll be seeing more of that later. Hey, Crazy Loacher, how you doing, my friend? I haven't heard from you for a long time. Hope you're doing well. Really, really do. Lee, if you're thinking about rigging, I would definitely get hold of some of these sort of spandex rigging things. Ammo do them, Ushi do them. You can find them online. Because they're sort of made of spandex, they're slightly springy, so you can super glue one end to one end of the where the rigging goes. Just cut the other one roughly to the right size, but you can pull it slightly under tension as you know when the other end of the super glue goes. And because it's spandex, it'll stay absolutely straight. And if you accidentally touch it, it won't break. It will actually take a little bit of give. And just a decent pair of tweezers, yeah, bit of tweezers, and just sort of pull it into place. It really goes on so well. And the spandex ones, the stretchy ones, they'll look fantastic. Really look fantastic. Okay, yeah, well, Simon, the thing is, I don't have a carpet in here, so that's my way of doing things, is not to have a carpet. Nice, 2 friendship bracelets, or maybe they're tracks, I don't know. What am I looking for here? I'm looking at D4 and D5 and D6 and D7. Let's just get all this stuff out here. Found it in a DVD rack. Best place for it. Best place for it. Okay, don't need that. Don't need those. Do I? I definitely don't need turrets yet. You can tell I've made models before, can't you? I really know what I'm doing here. Actually, it doesn't help trying to. Okay, we've got those little caps, the poly caps, which is nice. Okay, D4 and D5 already. Yeah, look at me actually cutting some plastic. Woo. Another thing I was going to actually, I'm going to do a video about it because, as lovely as it is, you'll have tuned in. It's not as many people as normally would watch a video. So, I was looking in my late middle-aged way for a pair of slippers the other day online, because I don't walk around with bare feet because it's not a great thing. Hey Adam, how you doing? What's a fun kit that can be built in a weekend? Maybe one of these actually. Egg kits are fun. I think are fun. 1 second. Where is it? Where's it gone? There you go. Yeah. So, things like this, MiG-15, makes cartoony sort of things. You can easily make that in a weekend. Easy, make that in a weekend. And there's a whole range of them. One that I really like the look of is the Liberator. It's got a really big sort of belly Liberator with the 4 engines, and it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, sorry, I do have to keep going. Yeah, liquid gravity. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I like those sorts of things because they are fun. They're not intended to be too serious. Don't matter if the marking's going in the right place or the colours are right. Blah 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 blah. You can just make them, and they're fun, and I really like them. So that's it. If I had to do something in a weekend, and it wasn't the 48-hour group build that James organised, so it didn't have to have a 1/48 scale kit, then I would yeah, do something like that, a little leg kit. Oh, Dane, yeah, oh, the B-17. Oh, cool. That's probably quite cool as well to look at. Actually, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Rubber tube, yeah, you know, starter kits, they're easy, they're simple, they can be fun. You pick the right one and they're fun. Pick the wrong one, maybe not so. But yeah, you know, you can get some lovely little starters, especially newer ones. Like that, the new starter Spitfire. It's lovely. Hope they do more planes in that series. The tanks they do are nice tanks. Okay, they're the wrong tanks because Sherman Firefly isn't a Sherman Firefly, but whatever. But they're easy to do, and do you know what? You can do them. So the Tiger, you can do that easily in a weekend. You know, the whole track system is 2 parts together. There's probably not, I don't know how many parts there are. I remember about 25, 30 parts at the outside. You can paint it and make it look cool. Really easy. If you want, you can do that on day one, build it and do the basic spray and all the rest of it in a day, pretty much. And then you can spend the rest of the next day doing some proper mucking around and rust and grime and streaking, and just practice all of your weathering skills on a very, relatively speaking, cheap kit. You know, it's cool. Pete, enjoy your dinner, man. Enjoy your dinner. Right, so I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, I do. Of course I do. I always know what I'm doing. That's going to go in there. That's going to go in there, but I need one of these in there as well. So it's just my thing. I like egg kits. I really do. I think they're just fun. Just pure fun. And I think I read somewhere that's what this is all supposed to be about. I don't know. Controversial, I know. But I was told once it was supposed to be fun. I think occasionally we forget that, but hey, let's not talk about that. Okay, so there's 2 bits that have gone together with a rubber bit in between. I guess the rubber bit is to help it grip the thing. I'm going to get some extra thin. In fact, I'm going to get a new one. Excuse me. Okay, there we are. So, I can't even find the seam to put glue on it. That's cool. There it is, just so. Yeah. Do I have a Chinook? No, I don't have a Chinook. Historically, me and helicopters have never got on terribly well. Now, I made the Airfix Lynx a while back, 1/48 Lynx, and I can't honestly say it was really that enjoyable, to be fair. However, the Cobra I'm making, the 1/35 Cobra from ICM, I'm really enjoying that because that's a nice kit. And having looked at the new Sea-King, that's going to be a great kit to build. There's a lot of fun things to do on that. You know, where the rotor blades go back and the tail folds. You know, rotor blade fold was is powered. When we were at Classic Helicopters, they had one of their planes, helicopters, and they were going to put it in the hangar. So they started it up so that they had the power to shut the rotors back. Really impressive. That's really, really good. NJ Bamforth, yes, I did see your mosquito build, and I think it looked really cool, man. Really, really good. So don't nothing's perfect. You know, nothing is perfect. Simple as that. So, if everything was perfect, if we all made perfect kits, I wouldn't have a channel, because, you know, that's the way it is, and it wouldn't leave room for improvement. So yeah, no one's perfect. Everyone starts, and I've made some absolute rubbish in the last couple of years. I've got to tell you, some of the kits I've made, I look at it and I think, oh my god, how did I ever do that? That's just so wrong. But we move on, and yeah, don't if you have got a kit that you can put on a shelf and someone walks in and says, did you make that? And you say, yeah, actually, yes, I did, and feel proud about it, then that's great. That's good enough. There's no such thing as perfect. You look at competitions and stuff like that, the nationals and blah, 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 blah. You look at the stuff there, and do you know what? None of them are perfect. Not one of those kits is perfect, because you need to get better. Everyone can get better, and the day you stop thinking that I can do that better, you might as well give up, Frank, I think, because what's the point? What's the challenge if you're not going to try and do something that little bit better? You can always do something better, but the important thing is you're happy with it. There's kits I've made in the past downstairs on my shelves. I look at them and I think, I would do that so much better if I did that again. The C547 I gave my dad, I'd go just after I restarted making models again. I made him a C547. I wouldn't give him that now. I'd be embarrassed. He loves it. So that's good enough. That's good enough for me. It's good enough for him. And he knew the real things in Korea. So as long as you're happy, it's cool. If you think I can do better, I want to do better than that, but I don't know how to, and you ask for advice, join in, with the Facebook guys. 400 Facebook members, by the way, now. Wow, 400. Great. And ask for advice, because they're a friendly lot, and they're going to give you good advice and honest advice. And if they don't, and people are nasty, they're going to get kicked out. But I think that's going to happen, because every comment I've seen so far has been really supportive, really helpful, really honestly done. And while I'm here, those of you on the Facebook group who do this, thank you so very much for helping to make the Facebook group work well, because that's exactly the sort of community, if you like. I'm trying to makes me sound like a cult leader. I don't like that. Yeah, I'm trying to build a community. Yeah, I'm just trying to build a group of people who chat, and like a proper club should be, but not limited by geography. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'd like it to be. So, anyone's got any issues or problems, try it out, and yeah, enjoy. Everyone is right. Let me just. I'll try and catch up with some of the things, because I tend to go off on a tangent. Figures I'll talk about at the moment in a little minute. Yeah, kinetic. Yeah, Sea King's actually good. Oh, dude, you're building the Sky Crane. Oh my god, that is enormous. I say twice, three. I actually could not get the room. If the guys at ICM say, look, do you want one of these? I could not do it, because I just do not have the space for that. That's a beautiful piece of plastic, but geez, I couldn't. Best of luck with you, mate. I'm going to keep an eye out on that. Jake, do I have any Thunderbird kits? Technically, yes and no. I have a kit from AIP, who are the guys who are releasing the Thunderbird kits, but it's not a Thunderbird, it's the Fire Flash from Season 1, Episode 1. And it was used later on, I can't remember when. But I do have a Fire Flash. I'm really excited to do that. I'm really looking forward to making that one soon. Kinetic, yeah, I hear a lot of good things about Kinetic. Oh, the Triebflügel. Oh my goodness, yeah, I remember. I was really tempted by one of those. I think Mini Art, do a Triebflügel. Beautiful kit. Amazing design. Guys, if you haven't seen the Triebflügel, it was a bizarre old thing. But yeah, have a look at it. I love the. As I said, I've now got that Arado 555 flying wing bomber thing to do as well, thanks to Nick. the inventiveness of the aerodynamics in Japan and Germany at the end of the Second World War, towards like 1943 and onwards, really, well, 42 onwards, really, to be honest. The inventiveness was just off the scale. A lot of the reasons why we're still here is that they couldn't do jet engines because they couldn't get the materials for primarily for the first stage turbines, which are working in insanely hot conditions. But yeah, aerodynamically they were years ahead of us. I mean years. Adolf Gallant, the World War II pilot who commanded an Me-262 squadron or even wing, but also flew in Argentina after the war and flew Meteors, said that the perfect plane would have been an Me-262 with Rolls-Royce engines, and that would have been an unbeatable aircraft. Crash dive, you're right, Portland 182, thank you, you're absolutely right. I do remember that now. Yes, it is. Yeah, 60 centimetres without the rotor blades, that is just crazy, crazy. Adam, the kits are available in Aldi, not Lidl, and they're there until they run out of stock, basically. Simple as that. Rob, I definitely meet up for something for coffee at Telford. Absolutely, definitely. I'm there both days this time, so I'll be going down on the Friday evening. No, during Friday, I'll go to Cosford on Friday. Hopefully, I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I'll drive home Sunday night. So I'll be there for 2 nights, and I'll be there both days of the show. And yeah, we should arrange something. Even if it's just a get together and to sort of stand around chatting. I'll be there in uniform, obviously. So even if we don't have a formal thing, if you're there and you see me, please come and say hi. But remember to say who you are, because this is a very one-way process at the moment. All right, you know what my ugly face looks like. I don't know what you wonderful, handsome people look like. So when you come up and say, hi, Gary, I'd like to be able to say, yeah, hi, whoever you are. So please let me know who you are. And then I can, then I'll know, you know. A few of you I might know from Facebook pictures, but you know, that's never going to be that great. But just say hi and chat, of course. Yeah, quite often, Kev. Yes, I do exactly that quite often. I do that quite a lot. To when I'm planning what I try and plan like a month ahead, maybe 2 months ahead. And at the moment, as those of you who watch my supporter special, because of you support channel in various different ways. As I mentioned, the plan is currently that I'll do at least one Airfix kit a month. At least one Adam, sorry, yes they are in Lidl. I'm getting so confused. You're absolutely right, they are in Lidl, not Aldi. One ICM kit a month because they send me stuff. So at the moment, for example, I've got the 135th Cobra in production. Sometime in the next few days I'm going to get the 148th Mistel 1, the one with the BF109 and the Junkers 88, but that's been converted with the shape charge nose. That bit, so that's got. You know, you kind of think, well, they're going to send them to me, I'm going to build them, but then I get sent a lot of stuff, so I am trying to build them. So yes, I do. I look at the schedule and think, right, I'm going to do that, and then I think, open it up, yeah, maybe next month, and it gets put away. But anyway, that's kind of the way it gets done at the moment. It's a little not very well organised, really, but you know, we do our best. I hope it, you know, entertains nonetheless. A Triebflügel, if I want to build one. Nick, I would. With you, I hesitate to say I'd like to build one because I know one will arrive in the next few days, but I really don't know when it's going to fit in the schedule, my friend. I love anything like that. I just think they are brilliant testaments to free thinking in aerodynamics. I remember back in like the when would it have been, late 90s, yeah, late 90s, I guess. I used to go to Farnborough and the Paris Air Show for work. I was a very lucky boy. I used to go to Paris for work. And at the time, you'd walk around and you'd see all these companies like Antonov and Tupolev and all these former Soviet companies looking for business from the West. And you were coming up with the most amazing designs for aircraft. I mean, incredible. Um, Double fuselages, twin fuselages, um, strange like variations on the Chronoplan, the ground effect aircraft, all sorts of things. And you look at them and you think it's so sad because none of these are ever going to get to fly because you haven't got any money and no one's going to pay for them. So it's brilliant that you're having all these great ideas, but frankly, forget it. You're not going to get it. Not going to get them flying. But again, it's a bit like Germany, in 1944, 45. You can just imagine, apart from the highest command going bonkers and saying, yes, I want 500 of them tomorrow. Some of them are, the Spear and people like that must have been looking and saying, yeah, great idea, but there is no way we've got the capacity to build these things. And it's a pity. But as I say, the biggest problem for them was the engines, the jet engines, because it's not a trivial thing creating particularly the turbine stages where they get really hot. I've mentioned many times to people that the first stage turbine on a modern jet engine, the temperature of the gas flow just behind the burner. Okay, so you've got the air comes in the front end, you've got the big fan, so about 85% of the air going in the front end is just goes to that fan and then goes straight out the back. So it's like an enclosed propeller, if you like. That is driven by the small jet engine in the core. Okay, so 15% of the air, roughly, goes into the core. It gets compressed by a set of stages of fans, two normally stages of compression to the combustion chamber. Fuel's pumped in, it's ignited, and just at the back of that igniter, that's the hottest part of the engine. Okay, that's where the high pressure turbine is. And the high pressure turbine on a big engine like a Trent, like the power of the big Airbuses and 777s and things like that, they're going to have like 90 blades, and the blades are about that big. Each one is a single crystal of metal, and it takes 2 days to cool. So it's one single metallic crystal, which is immensely strong. It has all sorts of clever cooling channels pumped through it, and it takes the air from the front end of the engine is piped through because it's still cold, and piped through this to keep them cold, because that metal is in a gas stream that's hotter than its melting point. Okay, so the steel there is in an area that is hotter than its melting point. All right, these things are whizzing around at 40,000 RPM at takeoff. They're being kept cool by this enormous amount of air being pumped through them. The steels they use are the most bizarre and incredible alloys with some very, very rare materials in them, like rhenium and stuff like that. It's one of the biggest uses of rhenium in the world is turbine blades for jet engines. At takeoff, as I say, 40,000 RPM, hotter than their melting point, and they can never fail. Never, ever fail in service. And there are 90 of them on each engine. One of those has a scrap value of around $8,000 to $10,000. One. And there are 90 of them. So scrap value, just that one ring of 90 blades, is very nearly $1 million. Scrap value. I mean, these things are phenomenal. The technology that goes into Rolls-Royce is, and GE or whatever they're called these days, Engine Alliance or something, the technology they use is absolutely phenomenal. Truly incredible engineering. This sort of thing just was nowhere on the ability of Germany in the 1940s. They didn't have access to strategic materials to make the specialist steels for those turbine blades, and that pretty much was the difference. Because compressor blades you can make out of almost anything. Further down into the jet stream, as it cools down and expands and cools down, it doesn't have to be so bad. But that first turbine, but essentially, that won the war for us. That was scary to think of. Had the Germans had that, goodness knows what they would have had flying. Really, absolutely astonishing. Sorry to bang on about that. What shade orange did I paint the bomb bug in? To go back to more germane matters, it's Vallejo orange. Oh, it's next door. It's just Vallejo Model Air orange. So I put down a coat of pink primer. So I've got the ammo one-shot primer, white primer. Added a drop or two of red, Model Air reds, to make it pink, because pink really is a really good base for doing orange. White can be a little bit too bright, it's difficult to get even, but pink actually is a lot easier to get even, I have been told, and I've found it, and I agree. And yeah, took 2 coats of orange on top of that, and then 2 coats of Army Painter gloss varnish, and that was it. Done. Really happy with it. Nick, you're thinking of my 2025 schedule, yeah, with 50,000 subscribers. That would be nice. And I'll need a proper stash. Okay, I know I've got a baby stash at the moment, because I've got like 45 kits up there or something altogether, and more on the way, no doubt, soon. I am looking forward to the ferret when that comes out. That's going to be fun. That can't be too far away, actually, because when we did the Sea King thing, Dale from Airfix was showing me pictures that he took of when they went there before, and they shot the promo video when they actually got to fly in the Sea King and all that, and took a load of pictures of them all with all their different flying kit on and all that. But he also was showing me videos of them driving around in a ferret, so I guess maybe at the Armour Fest or whatever it was called, so that won't be very much further. Yeah, Jim, the axial flow engine is so much better than the centrifugal flow one, for many reasons, not least of which it's thinner, so you have a lot less drag, but also you have a lot more development potential than you do. You know, it's a darned close run thing, as Wellington allegedly said after Wellington allegedly said after Waterloo. I need some more beer. It was a darned run thing. The whole jet engine thing at the end of the war. It was crazy. David, we gave the USSR quite a lot of our jet engines. The Neen engine, that was reverse engineered and essentially powered the MiG-15 and then developed for the MiG-17. Yeah, yes, we did. Yes, we absolutely did. A model kits. I'm pretty sure I've done some A model stuff in the past. They're a bit, from what I remember back in the day anyway, they were okay, but you know, need a little bit of work to them. They're not brilliant, but they're not bad. They're not like 1960s frog kits or something, or whatever. They're actually not bad little kits sometimes. I made a couple of Hawker Ospreys of theirs, and they were okay. They were pretty nice. Oh yeah, the Hobby 2000 B29. Yeah, I noticed that the other day. Really cool. Jim went to see Model Works. Oh, good. I'm glad you did. Spent far too much work. Unfortunately, that's what I'm going to a shop full of proper enthusiasts will do for you. They are lovely people. Mark is a very, very nice lad. he's the guy who owns the factory that makes the 124 Spitfires. He was the guy. He was showing us around on the factory visit day, and I was telling him I wanted to make mine as a pink Spitfire with the port in the side, and he just went and picked up a spare set of fuselage frames and said, "Yeah, take those with you. You're going to need them." And he was right. I did. But yeah, he's a lovely guy. All of the guys there are really cool, really nice people. Excuse me. The Wellington's your favourite twin engine bomber. Excellent. Glad to hear it. There's a new release of the Wellington coming up in the next few months. One of which is going to be a captured scheme, German captured scheme, which was pretty cool. Really nice. Why is the British B-29 named Washington? Firstly, because we tended to name everything rather than just go by the numbers. It's just we rename everything. And I think I'm right, actually, they were B-50s rather than B-29s. I can't remember. Oh boy. That's opened up a big area of my lack of knowledge of immediate post-World War II British bomber fleets. I'm pretty sure we had the B-50 version. But anyway, it's just the thing we do. We occasionally keep the same name, but then quite often we give them different names. It's just the way of things, I'm sure. The beard side, yeah, it is Hobgoblin Ruby, my friend. Exactly the same. Exactly. There you go. Hobgoblin Ruby. Cheers. That's a nice beer. Very fruity. Very as it actually says on the label. Very rich and very fruity. Washington's would be 29s. There you go. Told you. That bit of RAF history is just something I need to obviously look at a lot more, because it is, you know, the end of the war, Lincoln's, after that through to the V-Force. Really, not really all that clued up on it. Oh, the Beluga. Oh my goodness, you know, that's an aircraft. This is an aircraft. You know, there are some things you look at even now. You look at these things and you think, how does that fly? How, you know, and it's a big company like Airbus. They need an oversized transporter for fuselage sections and stuff like that, and they ship them around by air. And you think, whoa, really? How does that fly? Amazing. Lovely plane though. Some nice lines for a oversized thing. David McEwen's Champion. Oh, you little devil. That's just the is that just the 7.2%? Very good. If I did that, this would be over well before 10. Let me tell you. You know, I like my beer. Went to the beer festival recently, down in Ealing Beer Festival. Wonderful. Kev, a shout out to the Fleet Air I'm user. You absolutely can, my friend. I was there just over a week ago. I love it there. Of course you're going to get good rum in there, because they do Pusser's Naval Rum, which is lovely, if slightly strong. It's done really nicely down there. I like it a lot. The first time I did the flight, I think Hall 3, I think it is, there's a bit where you like go into it. Essentially, it looks like a helicopter cabin. In the old, they didn't do it this time. Maybe there's not enough people, or there's too many people. I don't know. But you get in there, and it used to like close the door, and the floor would shake as if you're in the air in a helicopter. And then the other door would open. You go out, and you're essentially on a flight deck. And they've got the gritty, grippy floor paint on and stuff like that. And it used to have a big AV thing of Buccaneers landing and taking off, which wasn't running. But they've got some cool planes, and they've got Vickers Supreme Attacker, which is the first jet the Royal Navy, or sorry, Fleet Air Arm operated. 800 Naval Air Squadron. Thank you very much. And they had all sorts. They'd moved their Seafire 17 into there. That used to be in another gallery. They've moved that in there. There was a Sea Vixen, Phantom, Buccaneer S1, a Wyvern. They had the Wyvern in there as well, which was really cool. But yeah, the whole thing is nice. There's a lot of really cool planes there, and it's not until you get up to them you think, my God, this is absolutely huge. You know, the Fairy Fulmer, a fighter aircraft, remember, a fighter aircraft with a Merlin engine, 8-gun armament, kind of along the lines of the Spitfire and Hurricane in concept, except being a Royal Naval aircraft, Fleet Air Arm aircraft, it had to have 2 crew. It had to have an observer to navigate and to operate the radio. As a result, it is bleeding enormous, and not surprisingly, they were really quite poor, especially up against, you know, BF-109s and things like that. Philippe, Brittany near Lorient. Oh, very nice Brittany. My God, oh, the cider, the cape, the seafood. My God, oh, the brie and camembert from down the road in Normandy. I hope you're having an absolutely magnificent time, Philippe. I really do. Oh, I love France. Sorry. Do I plan to build the 124th Airfix Harrier? No, I don't plan to build it. Really don't plan to build it. No. No, I don't at the moment. No particular reason. It's not got anything against the Harrier at all, but it's just really big and time and blah, blah, blah. Maybe one day. I don't. But there's just so much up there. I started. I've got three kits running at the moment. I finished the Bond bug today, so that was the 4th one I had going. I do still have 3 kits running, and I'm going to start another one probably over the weekend. Hopefully the Mitchell will be finished then, so that will be. I'm going to constantly have 2 or 3 kits on the go pretty much, and there's a lot already up there, so I'm afraid, my friend, the 124th Harrier isn't on the schedule, isn't on my horizon anytime soon, sadly. Wildcat in a kind of French camouflage. Yeah, it was built. Yes, I remember that now. It was built for a contract, and obviously they couldn't fulfill their side of the bargain, having been invaded. So I think we ended up with them. That's amazing. Yeah, the Fulmers didn't do well, Monty. In the convoys, the Malta convoys, they did okay because they're up against like 2nd string Italian fighters quite a lot of the time. They weren't even up against the really good Italian fighters, and they were, you know, attacking bomber formations and stuff like that, and they did okay. But when they started to get into proper defences, like Petsamo in Finland, for example, they really didn't do well. Madagascar, they're okay because there's almost no opposition, but yeah, against German aircraft, they really suffered because they're way too big, really slow. And you imagine, yeah, that sort of thing, trying to take on a Zero or something like that, it's just crazy. You know, forget it. You're not going home. Basically, you're not going home. Horrendous. But you know, they did a job. You know, they did a job considering what they were told to do, and they were, you know, that's what they had to have. Then you know, there's nothing to say. The crews are incredibly brave people. Like all their crew, anyone who takes an aeroplane up into the air and takes it into a fight, no matter who you are and what you got and what you're against. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Incredibly brave. Oh, Dave, you're building that Harrier for the group build. Oh, cool stuff. Excellent. Yeah, Jake, Brittany was part of England back. Yes, it was. Interestingly, Breton language is very, very similar to Welsh and quite similar to Cornish because they're all essentially the same. When I was at school, we had a language teacher who spoke Welsh fluently, and we were on a school summer trip to Brittany, and he bought a book in Breton and he could read it pretty much. There's a few words he didn't understand, but pretty much he could read it straight away, which is really quite cool, I think, anyway. Hellcat and Wild have interior green on the wing fold in Fleet Air Arm Service. That's, Robert, is an extremely good question, and I honestly wish I could answer it for you. Did I photograph one? I'll see. I can't remember if I took a picture of either of those. I took pictures of quite a lot of things. But I don't know if... Yeah, their Wildcat has got the wings out, which doesn't help. Actually, their Sea Fury, I don't know if you can... you probably can't see this. Their Sea Fury has got interior green on the inside of the wings, the wing fold. That's cool. The Sea Fire, it's difficult to tell. Doesn't look like it. Looks more like aluminium. But the Sea Fury definitely has interior green. I don't know is the answer to that, I'm afraid. I'm hoping someone else will know. Yeah, Kev, exactly. The wings are extended. Yeah, it was a very odd colour scheme, wasn't it? Yeah. Cool, good. I think we're pretty much up to date. Yeah, so yes, the museum at Yeovilton, if you can, is superb. Someone mentioned about the Duxford. Duxford is just outrageously good. Oh, it's astonishing the kit they've got up there. And some really interesting. They've got a link trainer, one of the first flight simulators. We had one at school, which is really quite cool. Simon, why does the current offer not have flying hours on the boxes? I do know the answer to this because I asked Dale Luckhurst, who's the head of brand at Airfix, that very question this very afternoon because it was raised on the Facebook group. Now, the reason is, according to Dale, that the margin on the kits is so small and the volumes are so high that he can't afford to let that number of flying hours out. Based on kind of like an average return of how many kits go out, how many people then redeem the flying hours and things like that, he can't do it. Now, I was kind of thinking about this earlier, actually. I mean, if you've got like 40 flying hours, you can buy something that's about 30 quid maybe, roughly. I don't know, roughly 25 to 30 pounds. Now, flying hours token per se is in theory therefore worth somewhere between 50 and 70p, maybe a bit more. Now, if your margin selling a kit at £6.99, if your margin is really small and you're just hoping for the massive volume to make up your money, which is what they do, then you've got to look at the potential redemption rate of flying hours if you hand them out. And I think it got to he looked at the numbers and just thought, No, the risk is too much with that we could potentially lose quite a lot of our profit on this deal by people getting flying hours. Now, of course, the deal isn't intended for primarily for people who collect flying hours. The target demographic of the Lidl offer is not an Airfix club member. Let's be honest. However, I have noticed a few of you, quite rightly so, have been getting quite a few of these little kits in Lidl for various reasons. Because you want to build them, because you want to use them for paint things, whatever. You know, paint mules, testing out techniques, whatever. Or just for the fun of building a kit. You know, hey Emma, how you doing? And I think he thought, you know, maybe we're going to get more of a return of flying hours than we thought we would normally. Maybe they did it before, maybe a year or two. They have done that, and they found that they're actually getting quite a high proportion of flying hours coming back. Whatever it is, whatever the reason is, they think that's the case. It's essentially because flying hours cost them money, because they have to provide the kit for free that someone saved up the vouchers for, and he doesn't think it's going to. He thinks it's going to dig into his profit margin too much. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's just what Dale told me this afternoon, because I asked him. He was very, very keen to point out they are not stopping flying hours on the main run of kits. Not thinking of it. He has in the past said that they're looking at different ways of running the flying hours system that's a bit more 21st century than cutting off bits of cardboard and sending them in on a bit of paper. Shortly after I told him, I was actually quite annoyed at having to pay 50p for another flying hours passport that I didn't actually want, because I've got a few of them lying around, but I didn't have the choice, so I sent off a kit. That's when I got the SM79, the Spaviero. I paid with flying hours, and they sent me back that, which is fine. Then they sent me back another flying hours passport and charged me 50p for it. And I looked up online, I can get them for 4 months ago. So I wrote to him and said, look, Dale, you know, if you're getting a fairly expensive place, I'd do them for 4p, same quality, in fact on recycled paper as well. If you want me to hand you the details of that, I can do that. And yeah, but it's for a different reason. And I thought, well, you know, maybe you should ask, do you have a little checkbox? Do you want a new flying hours passport? It will cost you 50p. Or do I just wait until the end of the year when I renew my membership and get one anyway? Hey ho. So he was, sorry, ranting about that. So he was saying, well, you know, we are looking at different ways of running the flying hours system. We still want to keep the flying hours system. Obviously, there's also the hobby rewards points now you can collect, the Hornby hobby rewards, which is, you know, a good scheme. You end up, you know, generating, you know, it's essentially a 10% cashback system, effectively. You know, you get points and they add up, and then you can use them to buy stuff. It's pretty cool. I think you get a point per pound or something, but and then I can't remember how it works now, but it works out. It's roughly 10%. It's essentially a 10% cashback on your purchases through the anywhere on the store. So Humber model paints as well as everything else. Starter kit paint, you know, can you airbrush them? Okay, you can, but you're going to need to, you are going to definitely need to thin them down a lot, because they are very, very thick, especially ones that have been hanging around for a while. They are going to be really thick. They're going to need a lot of thinning. You should use some flow improver or retarder, as it's otherwise called, because that will help. It just delays the drying of the paint. So it doesn't dry so quickly on the tip, which messes things up. You need to clean it off. Blah, blah, blah. You can Humbrol. Essentially, they're completely water-based. Now, a lot of companies, they're water-based acrylics, they call them, but there's also a whole load of other things in. So it's good to use one of their thinners or a generic specific airbrush thinner. You know, you can get them from various places. You know, Sprue Box do one, which is really nice. But Humbrol paints are proper water acrylics, so you can thin them with just regular water. So you need to thin it down quite a lot though, because they come out really thick, especially if the kit's been hanging around a long time on the shelf. The paints are really thick. But yes, you can do it. In fact, I have in the past. So yeah. So yeah, the whole point really is just to sell. Essentially, it's to sell kits that they don't need any further development to do. Okay, so they've got like the Nat and the 109 and the Sherman and the Tiger. They've done all the work they need to on that. All they need to do is to phone up their people in India and say, print me 20,000, no, mould me 20,000 of each, please, and send them over by this date. Get in touch with Cartograph and say I need 20,000 of each set of decals. Get them all on. Get everything all printed up. Get it all sent to India. Get it all boxed up, sent back, and the outlay is as low as they can make it, so that they can then pile them up, sell them out £7 a pop, but still have a margin, so that Airfix and Lidl both make some amount of money, obviously. But I think the margins are tight, and they are relying on volume to do it. And yeah, the main target audience is definitely the I would say that primarily it's the parent. They're aiming at the parent who's gone into Lidl, do some shopping, thinking, oh, I'll get one of these for my kids to make. Especially with the weather being as rubbish as it is in the UK at the moment. You know, rainy day, unless you've got money to go out, and you go out to any sort of venue these days. It costs a fortune. There are some free things you can do, but even so, go to a few places and start having coffees or cakes out. Suddenly you're looking at a lot of money, and if you can stay in and do something and maybe do it together, build some of this stuff together, it's really cool. And they're not that expensive, and they come with the paint and the paintbrush and the glue, and none of them are the best. The paintbrush is actually really nice. I've got a few Humbrol No. 2 paintbrushes still that I use for lots of different things, and as they get older they get quite feathery, and they're brilliant for dry brushing. Really like them. But the builds I've done of them in the past on like the My First Kit range and all that, I've done them exactly as what you get in the box, with a couple, a pair of nippers and some sanding sticks, just some very, very basic tools that you can also use. You can use a modelling knife or a pair of like wire cutters, fine wire cutters or something. You can always get stuff off the sprue. You can use a nail file, emery boards, whatever, in place of sanding sticks, and to do stuff. And there's ways of getting around the glue being blobby. You can do actually a really good job of it if you try. And then if you really dilute they always come with blank. If you really dilute that and you're careful with brushing, and actually do some panel washing and stuff like that, you can really jazz them up a surprising amount. For very, very little money. And I think that's why people buy them. I think that's why it does well in Lidl and Aldi at Christmas time as well as Lidl. They're just really cool. Really cool. Yeah, Andy, the AK 3rd Gen, I've done some of those myself recently, and yeah, they're beautiful paints. The pigments are gorgeous, but they do take a lot of thinning. But you're right, it's getting just the right consistency, that sort of slightly milky, slightly thicker than milk sort of consistency. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, well, next generation of modelling would be good. Yeah, the yellow nat. I mean, I made it last at the end of the year or some beginning of the year, and I wasn't impressed. It wasn't a great kit, I have to be honest. Yellow paint, it's not great. I mean, I'm again, poor old Dale. I'm on his back about these things all the time. I said to him, it's the kit's not that great, the mould's not that great. and B, yellow is like the worst colour in terms of coverage, trying to get it to look right. It's just horrendous. And he said, yeah, well, we always say that, you know, people um, should prime their kits and all that. I said, yeah, but you don't give them primer in the kit. You give them, this is what you need to make your model kit. If you need primer, then you should put a bit of primer in it. Well, I'll figure out some way of doing that, but hey ho. He just smiled and looks at me in a particularly indulgent way he has when I'm saying something he really thinks is a little bit stupid, but there we go. Yeah, it would be great actually, yes, as part of any review of the system, maybe digitizing it, whatever, to be able to gift it. Um, Again, Dale did say they're planning to do more stuff with models for heroes. Um, he wouldn't elaborate on what they were planning to do exactly, but it would be good if they could do more and they could help out more and make it easier. But at the moment, I'm afraid it is simply just cut out all the bits of cardboard and send them to Malcolm Models for Heroes, and they will put them to really, really, really good use. Um, Actually, I'll do something about them soon because um, I think there's probably more things people could do, or more options, I should say, for people to do things to help out that maybe they can't at the moment. Anyway, we'll see. So I hope there is, because what they do is exceptional. If you haven't heard of Models for Heroes, please do look them up. If you go pretty much any video of mine recently, the link will be in the information box underneath it, or just do a search for Models for Heroes. Brilliant charity, totally brilliant charity, helping people who have mental health issues as a result of their service to the country, be that in the armed forces or as a first responder like police, fire service, ambulance service, coast guard, and so on and so forth. You know, some of these people really are dealing with a lot of rubbish in their minds, poor, really, really bad stuff. And Models for Heroes uses modelling as a diversion activity, but also a way of getting them to have pride in something again, because a lot of them feel very guilty about their existence, and having pride in something that they've done is actually really, really, really powerful help on the way back. So Models for Heroes, if you can help them out, go on their website. There's other ways you can do. You can donate stuff through Amazon, like if you're buying some modelling basics or something, and you know, you go on to, they've got a wish list essentially. You could go on there and you see that for £2 or £3 they want something, or buy one, put it in the basket, send it them, and that will help out. Or just send them your send them your unused flying hours, because I believe Airfix give them a much better rate than anyone else in terms of swapping them for kits for to help these guys out. So really wonderful. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Yeah, so if he puts a primer in, yeah, there's the margin gone. You're absolutely right. Well, that's sadly, that is the way it is. Yeah, very few people use the weight required. I think some manufacturers say, well, not everyone wants to use the nose, you know, the undercarriage down, so we're not going to do it. Frankly, I think it probably isn't a massive impact on their design. On the Armour Hobby P39 Aerocobra has 3 ball bearings, and there's actually a little holder for them designed into the kit, which is really nice. The issue I know it's raised earlier of aircrew figures, that's come up several times in our discussions with Airfix recently, I have to say, and quite rightly so. So, what's the deal with aircrew figures? Well, the official line is twofold. Firstly, they don't have the capacity to design aircrew figures themselves at the moment. Okay. Um, it's something to do with the fact that when they design kits, they use the CAD program they design is there to design things, not models of people. It's not an organic sort of pull push sculpting type 3D package. It's a very much this cut, intersect, fix, that kind of thing. So sorry. So they don't have the capacity to design figures for their kits. They would have to have them designed elsewhere. That puts money on. They said the 124th Spitfire, for example, had they put a figure in, it would have taken it over the £100 mark, and they didn't want to do that. They are looking into packages for organic modelling, which suggests they may do this in the future, but they, it's not something that's necessarily on the core competency of a lot of people. So I don't know whether that's going to happen. Now, the other issue is that the example I used was the Mosquito. It's a 2-person crew. They provide one of the crew members. On the box, you can very clearly see 2 crew members. And I said, well, what's the deal there? And he said, well, the issue is that because of the issues of scale, there isn't actually room to put a pilot figure in there. They would have to be much, much, much thinner, and they would look rubbish because the wall of the aircraft is massively overscale. In case you've got plastic that's half a millimetre thick or whatever the fuselage is, scaled up, that's like that thick, which it never was. The Mosquitoes are that thick. Yeah, well, you can't scale that down to 172 because you'd never be able to mould it. And so the issue is that there's physically no room. When you've got the same problem also with like the seats and all the rest of it, there is physically not enough room to put a crew figure. You would have to create crew figures for each and every different kit, unless you just say, oh, we'll provide a pilot, or we'll provide, if there's enough room, we'll provide 2 identical crew figures. It's not like the old days when they actually provide loads of different ones. So these days they sometimes give a pilot figure, sometimes don't. They come probably from a library of 3D figures that they have, which is why on a Harrier GR9 or GR7 kit I had, the chap was in Irving flying jacket and goggles and stuff, because they'd obviously picked a Spitfire aircrewman and put it on the Harrier frame by accident, which I thought was hilarious, but there we go. It's it's a bit of an issue, I guess, and it is odd when you offer kits that have undercarriage up options that not to put a pilot figure in. Is a bit difficult, I guess. Really, I think maybe when they have in-house design, maybe they'll revisit the whole issue, and it might even be, there'll be some figures and some of them will be specific to one aircraft because maybe one leg will be missing because you can't see it, but to fit the figure in, then there's no room for that leg or something like that. It could well be stuff like that, which also then people find quite disturbing, that their pilot figure only has one leg. It's a bit weird. Anyway, I don't know what the outcome of that will be, but those are the reasons I'm told. A, it's the cost, the fact they don't have the in-house design, and secondly, quite often that there isn't physically room for the figure in things such as the Mosquito. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. That's just what I think it was Matt, the designer, told me last time I did an interview with them. So, hey ho. Yeah, Flow Improver. I saw someone said was Flow Improver. What is? It's essentially something that stops the it delays the drying of the curing of the acrylic base of the paint. A paint is like a pigment, which is the colour, and then there's a carrier base that's an acrylic in most cases, or whatever solvent-based stuff lacquer is. It dries quite quickly, especially when it's been blown, and it's in small particle sizes. It can dry really, really quickly. And if it starts drying on the needle tip rather than on the kit, then that builds up and it starts spattering and gets in the way and gets bummed up, which is not good. So if you can delay that happening with they call it a flow improver or a retarder, then it means that the paint just goes through the airbrush and keeps going. It also means you can use the airbrush for a bit longer if you've got paint in before it starts seizing up. I use it all the time, and it works really well. I've been using ICM paint a lot recently, and I just, because that's designed for brush painting, it's quite thick, been mixing it 1-to-1 with thinners, and then 2 or 3 drops of flow improver or something like the Mitchell I did in, I think, two passes really. Oh no, so beg your pardon, the Mitchell I used Tamiya paint. What was it? Something else the other day. Oh, it might have been the truck thing I showed you earlier. Truck chassis and all that. I just did that and just kept going and going and going and going and going like a Duracell bunny, and it worked. Didn't dry up. But I could see the paint drying on the actual kit, which was fantastic. So, I've only been an hour. My goodness, fantastic. More beer, thank you. I will. Hi, Oscar Modelling. How you do, boys? Yeah. So that was that. Hope that helps. Yeah, they do need to look at it, but that's the reasons why they don't. That's the reasons I'm told why they don't do it. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. Sometimes I think Dale teases me and tells me stuff and sees whether I believe him or not. Other stuff he actually does really open up and tell me stuff about, and he's very open and honest with things, and he's actually much appreciated. You know, they're a decent bunch. I know a lot of people have got issues with Airfix and various things, and you know, sometimes I have too, frankly. But you know, whatever the baggage the company's got there, I think they are genuinely trying to do a good job, and I genuinely think they're actually, most of the time, not all the time, most of the time they actually do it as well. You know, that's just me. Oh, they're a fun bunch as well. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's always nice when they say, you know, you see an email from the marketing team that says, hey, you know, we're going to do this. Would you like to come along to this? Would you like to come along? They don't do it that often, but when they do, it's like, oh yeah, do you know what? Yes, I would, because I know it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be fun. The designers are great guys and really good to talk to, really helpful and informative, nice people. People like Dale who run the business, great. Luke, the researcher, amazing amount of knowledge. It's good. They're good people. They're a good bunch. Sorry. Miles away again. I try and do like 2 things at once, and I'm 60-something-year-old man. I'm struggling. Oh, you're back, Sean. Excellent. Good to see you again. Could they do? Yeah, John. They could do a set of aircrew, but as I said, sometimes the problem is there physically isn't a room in the kit to fit the aircrew. So with gun turrets, for example, you know, the way the turret is fitted into the kit looks great from the outside or whatever, but to make that buildability, for a better word, then there may not be space to put an aircrew figure in the way they've done it now, and just designing them costs a fortune. Um, do I plan to build a Tamiya F15 in 1/48? No, I don't. Frankly, Robert, I don't plan to do an awful lot. Things just happen. Um, Companies release things and upset my schedule and think, no, I'm not planning on doing. I don't have an F15 in 1/48. I'm not planning on doing one at the moment, but who knows? One day I may well do. I built the Revel F15 in 1/72. It was a new tooling last year. That was a nice kit actually, F15E. Yeah, do I plan on doing an F35? No, I don't. Not at the moment. One day I may do. Boring about the new Seeking. No, okay. Oh, was that you talking about Dale there? I wonder. Sean, is that Dale? Was he on? Was he on Moz's live? Who said boring about the new Seeking? I hope it wasn't Moz. Maybe it was. Maybe he thinks it is boring. I don't know why. I think it's a lovely kit myself. But there we go. Each to their own. We each have our own likes and dislikes, and that's a good thing. I'm very excited by it, actually. Yeah, David, it is. I'm going to actually put some glue in some of these because these are way too wobbly. I don't like wobbly things on my kits. They are improving. I think they have a good set of designers now. They have a good way of looking at how kits are put together. They are working on the quality control. They make a lot about this new plastic they've used. They've used it for a year or two now, and it's good. But do you know there was a plastic? Every now and again, the Mitchells in it. I think it's that sort of slightly bluey grey pale plastic. The P40 was made in it. There's a few kits that were made in it, and it was really nice plastic. The moulds were so sharp. On the P40, if you look at the pilot, you can see his tie in 1/72. You can actually see the time, and it's beautiful. But I don't know. He says this plastic's better. I'm not sure. This slightly the one they've got now is like a sort of slightly brownish, darker grey. I don't know. Science asks the questions that reveal the truth. Yeah, that's kind of true in itself. Oddly enough. Science. I love science. I have been in and around science all my life. Well, professional life, as it were. I have a science degree. I've worked with science imagery, and I find it endlessly fun. And I got to go to some really cool places, like CERN and sort of telescopes, huge telescopes and stuff like that. Absolutely amazing. What they can do, and the tales they tell, and the things they're looking for and at are quite remarkable. Yeah, Sean. Yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea. That's for sure. And people are going to say that about the Gannet as well. They're going to say, it's post-war fleet era 1/48 sub hunter, interesting wingfold, but other than that, not that many of them made. Not many. Yeah, but and it's not the airborne early warning one because they can't do that. But yeah, I don't know. I suspect. Now, I don't know. I suspect when I did an interview with them, with Dale and Luke, possibly actually about the range choice earlier in the year. At the end of it, when we finished, I was saying to Dale, oh, and by the way, you really need to launch that Halifax soon before someone else does. It's a bit of a running joke. They need to do a new tool Halifax. As far as I'm concerned, they have to do one before Italeri does it and beats them to it, like they did with the Sterling. And also, I think they need to do a ferry battle. Although, is it From Azure are doing a battle in 148th very soon. Do look out for that. Doing 3 scheme options, 3 sets of scheme options. I beg your pardon. Belgium ones and Battle of France, and I think maybe South African, something like that. Yeah. So maybe they won't do a battle. What they really also need to do is either retool or release a vintage classics of the Hamden as well, because that's a very underrepresented kit. But the Halifax, you know, but I mess around with Mystic Mug every year. You know, do that, and sorry, I did get these out of the way. You know, I do it just for fun, chat and say, oh, really want to do this, and and I think they're going to do it. But next year, at the end of the interview, Dale said, you're going to like one of the things we've got coming next year, and that was that. Now, whether that means he's actually got a Halifax or whether he's going to re-release the Hamden, I hope both, frankly. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. If they can retool the Halifax, they'll sell dozens of them, because the ones you can get are fine. But what you can do with them nowadays, and there's so many versions of the Halifax. There's so many different colour schemes. You know, the Mark 1, 2, and 3, and upwards. They're markedly different. You know, the round tail fins, the squared off tail fins, the turret nose, the plain nose, different engines, let alone all the marking schemes available. They would sell so many of them. Then just look at the Lancaster, and look at what Italeri been doing with the Sterling as well, which is an amazing kit. But by God, there's too much detail in it for my liking. Lovely as it is. You know, it would be brilliant if they could do something like a Halifax. It really would. And as I say, they'd sell as many as they can make. Frankly, I think at least. Right, what am I doing? Which way around does this go? That goes. See, in the meantime, chatting away here, and I've actually made, very nearly made. Well, it goes on before that one, doesn't it? Very nearly made the bottom half of my tank. It will be interesting to see what they do next year. I mean, this year, obviously, they had that whole thing, oh, we're not going to do anything major, and it's going to be, we're concentrating on the starter sets, and there may not be this year, and then suddenly, hey, how about that? There's a 148 Seeking that we weren't going to tell you, but didn't tell anyone about. Next year, I don't know. I don't know what the plans are. I really don't know. I wish I did know. Could make a great video. Could make a lot of views on a video if I actually knew what was going on. But there we go. Yeah. Yeah, the Scout and the Wasp would be great. There was a Wasp actually at the helicopter place we went to. Classic Helicopters. There was a Wasp, a flying one there, but they're looking after it. Well, it didn't belong to them, but they were looking after that, which is lovely. The Wasp would be nice. Again, very British, very underrepresented in the scale. There weren't that many versions of it though, I guess. But to do it in 148 would be amazing. It's really funny watching the amount of people saying, "Oh, why didn't they do one in yellow? Why didn't they do a Sea King in yellow?" Well, because they're going to eventually. You know, they will do a Sea King in yellow in 1/48. It's just the whole point was this first release was one airframe, and that one airframe never appeared in yellow because it's Royal Navy, not Royal Air Force. They will do a Royal Air Force Rescue one. You can bet your money on it. You can bet money on them doing a jungly one, Marines one. These things will come out. What they do typically, they look at when they're deciding what kits to do. And we've had this presentation from Airfix so many times. But yeah, sorry, Rob. Yes, I've put all of the running gear on while I've been chatting. It runs, running gear. How about that? That's not bad, is it? I love this. I really, really like this little kit. Yeah, they had a wasp there. It's really nice, really nice. It is. They look after it, and I can think, well, you know, if you were there scanning the Sea Kings, why didn't you scan that while you were there? And maybe I think they've got a hoverfly, maybe that they're trying to get airworthy again, and a Wessex and a Whirlwind. You know what? Scan the whole lot and keep them in your pocket. There we go. Oh, the Airfix Whirlwinds. Yeah, that would be nice if they re-released that. Actually, that was a nice looking kit. Yeah, diorama pipe. Andy, what I have got is what I'm going to be using for something in the future. Is oh, I've got this mini art thing. It wasn't actually that expensive, and that's a nice sort of diorama base that you make up. It's all plastic and vac form and stuff, but you know it makes up this little sort of scene. 1/35th. So I'll be doing that with a kit in the future. And of course I have got. I still haven't made, mate. I still haven't made it. I'm so sorry, James Skiffins. I'm so sorry. His first inspiration box came with like the basic tools for making a little diorama scene, and I still haven't made it. I've designed it. I haven't made it yet. That's another thing I will be doing. Is Mystic Mug appearing this year? Yes, Mystic Mug will be appearing this year. And you know what? Now that I've got the green screen, oh yeah, I am looking for some super weird fun. I'll be doing the awards at the end of the year, and I will be doing Mystic Mug again this year. I am thinking of it's all a matter of hours in the day that I don't have. I will definitely be doing the awards, and maybe I'll be doing some sort of related. What I might do is have like a mug printer, like kit of the year mug print, and send it to the company, the designer or whatever who did it, just for a laugh. But I was thinking of maybe doing some Mystic Mug themed merchandise, because I need to change my merchandise from Redbubble, where it is now, to something that integrates with Amazon. Sorry, integrates with YouTube, because then they can have it directly underneath the images and whatever. But I need to do some redesign, because you know obviously I've got the logo stuff, but maybe a few bits of like Mystic Mug says sort of things and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on the idea of doing some different merchandising, just some fun t-shirts and mugs and whatever, basic stuff. But yeah, just things that could be quite amusing for people to have. I don't know. A10 Thunderbolt. No, sadly, Anthony, no, I have not. Although I do like them as aeroplanes, I have not actually made one, I'm afraid. I haven't got one to build that I'm in the near future either, because I ain't got them. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. I was talking about the way Airfix do their releases. So that normally what they do is they'll do a release. For example, the Hunter did the F6 Hunter. Now you look at the future development of that kit, then when they're choosing them, they say, well, okay, we'll do the Hunter, we'll do the F6, that's great. Can we do other aircraft from that? Can we do? Yeah, well, we can do an F6A and FJ9 just by essentially putting on a couple of extra bits, big fuel tanks, the drag chute housing over the tail, a couple of other little tweaks, and hey, do you know what? You can actually put that into the tooling straight away and just say these bits aren't necessary for the production of this kit. People do it all the time. Loads of companies, you look at the frame layouts and there'll be big things, so you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. Well, why are they there? Well, because we're going to market another version of this down the line, or we already have, and those are the bits you need to make that version. You know, sometimes you see two different propellers in there. Well, why I've got two propellers? Oh, this is for the late model. That will be coming out in a couple of years' time. So what they do is they have the basic kit, and then they call it CapEx 2 and 3, so capital expenditure. CapEx is a new kit, capital expenditure kit, and then 2 and 3 are the second and third releases of that kit down the line. So that they can use essentially the bulk of the frames, or even the same frames if they've included the other parts already. But sometimes the other parts will be on a separate frame, but it's only one frame that they have to change one tool to do it. It may even be included on the tooling of another thing, and they just store the parts or whatever. So, yeah, my pleasure, Rob. Always good to see you, mate. It's easy to do that, and so with the Sea King, they've got one release now. They will have the second and third releases already planned. They'll be doing the work, if they haven't already done it, they'll be doing the work on the markings and getting them set up with cartograph. They'll be looking at the small detailed differences between the marks and making sure that either those are already included on the tool or they'll be included on a frame in the future. And that'll be true for the, I think, for the Commando version. Probably in one set will be like the Norwegian camouflage, you know, the white and dark green camouflage, and also an RAF rescue aircraft in the bright yellow, because that will sell really well. So you know, that's the way they do things with their main kit releases. You'll see, like they've just re-released the Seafire. That's a tool from a few years back. All they've had to do is change the decals and out it goes again, and it's actually a pretty good kit. If you buy a 1/48th Hurricane at the moment, the current ones, in that box are the parts you need for the Sea Hurricane and for the tropical version of the Hurricane. The parts are in there already. All they change is the box top, the box art, the decals and the instructions. The actual plastic doesn't change between versions. So they release the Hurricane 1 year, a year, 2 years down the line they do the tropical one, another year or two down the line they do the Sea Hurricane. They haven't actually had to invest in new tooling at all. All they've done is re-pressed from the same tools. They've just changed the other box contents, and that's how they do it. That's how they work. So whenever you see a kit being released and you think, oh, I really would like it in this version because there's a lot of them, that's going to happen. Now, my pleasure, Sean. It's good to see you, man. One thing I'm pretty sure they're going to do, so at some point, don't know when, maybe they'll announce it at Telford, who knows? Maybe they'll keep it till next year. I would bet they're going to do a Mark 8 Spitfire in 1/24th. Alright, they've done the Mark 9. I think they'll do a Mark 8. Now, the reason why I think they'll do the Mark 8 is the fuselage is very, very little different. It's essentially the differences of the engine, the wingtip options, and the fact it has a retractable tail wheel and not a fixed tail wheel. Now, on the 1/24th scale Spitfire, where the tail wheel goes, it's very obvious that, you know, there's a notch out and there's a separate part for the tail wheel. Well, that you could put a different frame in there with maybe a couple of different bits for the engine to make sure it's the right version of the Merlin available, and the retractable tail wheel down and up options. you could have the extended wingtip, the standard wingtip, and maybe even the cropped wingtips. You've got 3 or 4 scheme options straight away. There you go. Without doing very much, you've got a whole new kit in 1/24. Now, whether they're going to sell as many, I don't know. The Mark 8 was the 3rd most produced version of the Spit after the 5 and the 9, so there are plenty of them around. I don't see why they would design a kit in that way unless that's what they're going to do. Just my thinking. If they're going to do it this year or next year, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Gavin, exactly. They got the mileage out of the Buccaneers, so the Buccaneers come with different wingtips because the South African ones didn't have the swash out wingtips that the Fleet Aeron ones did. Lots of ways to get the different options on the Buccaneer. Really easy to do, and then it's just markings. It's just markings, and it's layout. It's 4-color print instruction. You know, the decal layouts and scheme layouts. It's a new box lid. It's a new instruction sheet. But essentially, for these days, that's not much. But the decal sheet's the most expensive thing by a long way. But yes, it may well have had a pointed rudder. You're quite right. I don't know the. I've got a feeling the 1/24 kit actually comes with more than one rudder. Don't quote me on that off the top of my head. I think it probably comes with more than one rudder. And yes, most of them were used in the Far East, the Mark 8s. They were used very heavily overseas. So it'd be great for Far East markings as well. Yeah, even if the rudder's not included, it's one small subframe to put in the right rudder. A couple of extended, because they had the high altitude wingtips as well as the standard wingtips and the cropped wingtips. Maybe 1 or 2 parts to mess with the engine a little bit to make it the right mark of Merlin, and the tail wheel. So really, yeah, 1/2 frame on their size, and that's all the conversion you need, and the rest is then print, purely print. So it's entirely possible. I think it will happen. I think it will happen myself, and it'll be still made in down at New Haven, hopefully. So that'll be cool. How is the Sea Hurricane different? It had an arrestor hook. It had spools on the fuselage for the in those days they're called accelerators, the catapult system. Slightly more ethereally, academically, they had different instrument markings because everything is marked in nautical miles per hour, in knots, and they had different radio sets because they had naval radio, not Fleet Aero, RAF radio sets. I had different radio sets. The main difference was the tail hook and the attachment points for the catapult. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same. US Army used sort of, yes, they did indeed, Gavin. You're absolutely right. US Army Air Force used them. So again, there's another set of markings. Cut down fuselage Mark 16. It's feasible. There is someone who does a conversion, a bubble canopy conversion for the 1/24 Spitfire already. Might be a resin one, but there is aftermarket that do it. I guess it's feasible. Whether or not there's too many differences in the internal framing at the back end of the cockpit might be quite different. I don't actually know off the top of my head. I can't tell you that because I'm not that familiar with the Spitfire myself. But yeah, anything's possible. You know, anything's possible. Obviously, if they go too late in production, then they're looking at Griffin engines, so they have to redo the engine completely, and the propellers and stuff like that, because they turned the other way around, much to the annoyance of many Seafire pilots who got used to giving it a boot of rudder, boot full of right rudder on the Merlin engines, because it tried to throw you off the ship to the left. And then when they got the Griffins, they tried the same gig and the engine's turn the other direction, they throw you off towards the right, so you need a full boot of left rudder. If you put boot for the right rudder, your next destination is the island on the right, on the starboard side of the aircraft carrier, and a very upset commanding officer, no doubt. But yeah, it's possible to do that. Absolutely possible. Yeah, hobby type, pointy rudder, retractable tail wheel, absolutely, and possibly a slightly different engine as well. But yeah, entirely possible. But I think I think the sales of the Mark 9 were very, very good. I think they definitely hit their target on the building of the Mark 9. So hoping the Mark 8 will do as well. Okay, well look, I've chatted about. I've actually got further on this kit than I normally do on my little Meng Egg Tiger. Kind of a good place to stop it really, because it's kind of almost there, isn't it? Really, and we've just got to put the tracks on, and we're rocking and rolling. So it's 10 o'clock. Thank you all so very much for tuning in and listening to me prattle on for a couple of hours. If you manage to stand the whole couple of hours, I believe our American friends don't have to do it because it's classed as a cruel and unusual punishment in their legal system to have to listen to me gabbling for this length of time. But you know, I've enjoyed it. Time has flown as usual. Gavin, just interestingly enough, just a quick point. When I was at Airfix last year, and I was in the mould store that they have there, which is where I saw the Rotodyne moulds, and I said laughingly, "Oh, you got to build that. You got to let that out next year, haha." And they have. And it happens it was there because they were going to. They just checked them and they hadn't got them out of the way before. SRN4 mould was there. I couldn't see the SR. I think the SRN1 was there, but the SRN4 mould was definitely there. And I've told Dale he has to put that out next year, but that's just me. Anyway, thank you all so very, very much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed your evening. Thanks for the chatter backwards and forwards. Take very good care. The Mitchell's coming out soon. The H1G will come out soon. Obviously, Monday Matters will come out on Monday, and we'll be looking at the kit of the week next week that I am going to be starting on tomorrow. And plenty more besides. So thanks very much. Have a wonderful week. Rest of the week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thanks very much for tuning in. Take care. Bye bye.